We have amidst us a champion speaker who wins hearts and inspires his audience whenever he is speaking on the podium. A great leader who turns dreams into reality and brings life into ideas. It is indeed an honor to introduce this mighty architect who is Director of Marketing and Strategic Planning in Peri Petrochemicals, past Division L Governor, District 79 Realignment Chair 2019. This personality is accelerated coach on leadership and personal mastery from Robin Sharma's Personal Mastery Academy. A prominent keynote speaker, exceptional evaluator, inspiring writer, leader, and above all, a great human being. Please help me welcome DTM Peri to deliver his keynote speech on Unleashing the Genius.
Respected Chief Guest, DTM Abdul Razak Al-Turki, Division F Director, District 79 officials who were seated here until a while ago, probably gone for a break with a quick turn of events, and all the district officials. Assalamu alaikum and good evening. It's always a pleasure and joy to be talking in Toastmasters. And today, I was requested to speak about a special title, a title about discovering the personal mastery within you. Discovering the genius and unleashing the genius within you by my very good friend, Division F Director, Toastmaster Nice Guys, and it's always, I've been watching wonderful speeches, wonderful international speeches, very motivating, very triggering speeches during the last 1 hour or so, and it gives me additional creative drive to go on the stage and speak. Assalamu alaikum and good evening once again. Toastmasters are extremely special people. We are always set out to do something very special. We belong to a special breed. Do you agree with me? We are very passionate people, and we are always searching for something. I'm having some screens here and slides here. I hope you're all able to see that. We are always constantly searching something, very passionately searching something. Do you agree? And have you ever wondered what is that we are hoping to discover at the end of this search or even during the process of this search? Have you wondered? I mean, there are so many Toastmasters, so many men and women and families are seated here on a Friday afternoon spending our time not just to encourage others, but also to encourage ourselves and searching something in us. I can see it in all the faces of all the Toastmasters who are spending a lot of valuable days. Have you ever wondered what is that we are constantly searching? Toastmasters are always good at answering table topics. Right? What is that? Self-satisfaction is a good answer, yeah? Sorry? Joyfulness. Wonderful. Yes, all of them. I'm sure I'm going to have many answers. Sorry? Self-realization. Wonderful answer. Wonderful answer. I think, would you agree with me if I have to summarize on behalf of all of us seated here on this long day that we are constantly trying to discover the best version in us, our inner self, the innate genius in us. Would you agree that it is more or less it should cover everything that we are searching? as Toastmasters, the special breed of people who are always searching. And this process is called self-discovery process. The point is, the process of self-discovery is never going to be easy. The process of self-discovery is going to be sometimes a dangerous game, but a fun game. Our climb up to the top of the mountain and keep climbing out there is going to be dangerous, demanding, and extremely innovating, and might be even pushing us to the jagged edges of our potential. Might even threaten to tear us apart sometime. Have you felt it? Have you felt it? But that is what is going to teach us the noble virtues of all the great men and women, whose virtues we have always admired in our lives. I'm talking about the Nelson Mandelas and Mother Teresa's and the Shakespeares and the Socrates of this world. All these great men and women who brought out their noble virtues. A lot of speakers spoke about some of those virtues, wonderful virtues, self-belief, internal fears, wonderful topics, wonderful motive. But all these great men and women whom we always admire have demonstrated and modeled the ways of practicing these noble virtues and discovering the very best version of ourselves. Do you agree? But I think I have already raised my hand on behalf of every one of you that most of us here are already engaged in that process of self-discovery and bringing out the genius within us. We are searching. We don't know how long we are going to be searching. Many of us have been searching for decades, and we are still every day trying to bring out the better version of ourselves. But I have a few questions for ourselves. We attend conferences, we attend lectures, we once in a while listen to podcasts, we read books. But do we have the commitment to stay on in this process of self-discovery on a consistent basis, on a regular basis, on a day-to-day basis, to bring out that little genius in us every day? Do we have the commitment to leverage upon those learnings of that discovery process? And do we stay honest to ourselves in accepting the pitfalls and the flaws that we would observe in ourselves in the process? It can be very difficult. It's going to be very difficult to present a white paper to ourselves. It's going to reflect a lot of bad sides of ourselves for us to realize and work upon it. But are we doing it? And do we have the audacity, energy, and the monomaniacal focus to stay on in that process of discovery? Or we are all going to be too busy being busy? Does it just make sense? Most of the times, we are all too busy being busy. Do you understand what it is? Robin Sharma's famous statement, my guru, my mentor, I keep attending his classes. Most of the times, today's eras, I think someone talked about the attention span during the evaluation speech or something. Attention spans are today the greatest difficulty, the greatest challenge that we face, not as Toastmasters, as human beings in general, is our attention span is so limited because the distractions around us are so much. Addiction to distraction causes death of creative production. And every one of the human being in today's era, today's generation, suffers from this disease. And most of us suffer from a disease called digital anesthesia. Yeah, digital anesthesia. Do you know what digital? We numb ourselves from the realities of the world around us by immersing ourselves into those moving virtual social media thoughts. We are always being very busy with that. But we don't, the point is, if you have to really engage in the process of self-discovery and bring out the very best version of ourselves, we should stop being busy and start getting productive, start getting creative, start becoming honest, and start discovering the little by little genius in us every day. That's the secret. And having said that, I am just going to share with you very quickly some humble inspirations that I have observed from some of those great men and women, and also my little learnings from Robin Sharma's Personal Mastery Academy. Personal mastery or self-discovery is a very detailed subject. If we need probably 2 or 3 days workshops to conduct that. But I'm just going to leave with you some triggers, some thoughts, some inspirations which might make sense to you. Which I hope it will add little value to your further thought process. So number 1, for us to get engaged in the process of self-discovery and achieve the elite performance in us, to bring out the mastery in us, is self-belief. Self-belief is the number 1 virtue that is going to be needed in every one of us. I know what's going through your mind. Self-belief. Almost every member in this room seated here this evening, a lot of them wearing very colorful badges, red, white, green, contestants, contest chairs, leaders, speakers. We all have self-belief. What's so great about it? It might come to your mind. It came to my mind when someone was speaking to me about it. Let's be honest. Ladies and gentlemen, the self-belief that I am talking to you is not the normal levels of self-belief. I am talking about extraordinary levels of self-belief, extremely high levels of self-belief, and the practice and the behavior to keep building our self-belief under different situations, challenging circumstances, taunting circumstances, the remote control button circumstance, the wonderful speech. Even under those circumstances, how do you keep maintaining high levels of self-belief and keep capitalizing the genius and bringing out the genius from you? Let me give you some examples known to all of us. Albert Einstein was sent out of his school. We all know about it, right? Even when he was a child, he was sent out of the school. He had that extremely high, extraordinary self-belief in him to believe that he can learn things himself. I'm talking about self-belief, somewhere close to it. We cannot be a genius like him. Nelson Mandela was in the prison for 27 long years, and the objective was to get him killed. But he had the self-belief to think and envision for his nation. Martin Luther King was oppressed and trampled upon, again with the same objective, but he had the self-belief to fight back. I'm talking about that levels of self-belief, something close to that, somewhere in the shades of those levels. That will be the tenacity, that will be the consistency that will be required for us to bring out our genius and discovery every day in our life. Because if you want to become a genius, if you want to demonstrate our genius, if you want to demonstrate our greatness, the extent that we aim to scale in the external world cannot be higher than what we scale within ourselves. Our internal faith has to be much stronger and bigger than our internal fears. Mr. Robin Sharma again, I'm going to be quoting him very often. Robin Sharma again says that there are no extra people on this earth. There are no extra people on this earth. Every one of us, when we were born into a state of awe and wonder. Let me repeat, we were born into a state of awe and wonder. We were born into wonder and be a use for others. Be and present our life as a model for others. Present our ways as inspirational ways for others. But what happens to us? I'm going to tell you a little story because some of you are not responding. How many of you have heard about the Golden Buddha in Bangkok? You know, there is a Golden Buddha, beautiful statue in Bangkok. It's about 6 meters tall, big statue, wonderful object, beautiful sculpture, weighing maybe 100 tons of gold, more than 6 meters tall. You know, the Thai people wanted to protect this beautiful, precious object. The time was sometime in 13th century. When the invaders came in, they wanted to protect it. So what they did, they covered it with layers of clay and mud and so many other plaster-like material. And all the way, and they protected it, all the way into 1855, about 450 or 500 years later, it was lying in that state, covered with clay and mud, and everyone thought, what is this muddy-looking object? And someone accidentally discovered the gold inside. And they peeled off those layers to discover that. It's the Golden Buddha temple in Bangkok. You can see that if you go on a tourist. The metaphor for all of us, Toastmasters. There is a golden Buddha in every one of us. There is gold in every one of us. Our natural state is awe and wonder. But what happens? Through our pampering parents' well-meaning, our teachers, our society, our friends, our circles, the cynics, the critics, the taunting people around, we adopt the psychology of an average versus the mentality of a possibility and legendary. Let me repeat this for you, Robin Sharma. We adopt, because of the society keeps throwing the mud and sand on us, and we start averaging ourselves. We adopt the psychology of an average versus the mentality of a possibility and legendary. And that is defined as an averaging tendency. We are all, most of the times, I'm just speaking here, I'm one of you. Most of the times, we fall into this process of averaging tendency. We start justifying, okay, I am almost one of the good ones among my classmates. I'm one of the average ones among my top average ones among my office mates. I am one of the good ones in my club. But why not we start thinking, why can't I be a role model for everyone? I think some of the speakers displaying the pictures, they said these messages. That is what it takes to bring out the primal genius that we are born with. That is what it takes to bring out the natural state of energy that we are blessed with. We fail to do it. Why do we fail? Every time we are going to bring out the disruptive genius, the discovery, I'm using big words, but every time we are going to bring out the excellence into this world, we might fail. We are going to be ridiculed sometimes by the people around us. But remember one thing, every one of those great men and women, before they were all revered, they were all ridiculed. When you are going to bring out the excellence or the genius from within you, you are going to terrify people around you. You are going to terrify people because you are going to disturb the status quo of somebody else's situation. So people will start criticizing you. They will pass negative comments. Remember this. Critics and cynics are nothing but frustrated dreamers. Critics and cynics are frustrated dreamers. They are always going to touch the wounds within you. But there are two ways. Either you be a victim and give up, or be a possibilitarian and work on it. The famous J.K. Rowling, genius, who brought out discoveries and masteries into this world. You know what she said? Whenever you're going to present a new version of you, for some people to love you, some have to loathe you in this world. This is world. This is nature. All these people brought out their genius facing against all these things. I don't know if any of you have visited the beautiful Picasso Museum, somewhere close to Barcelona, Bonn district. It is written on the wall of the Picasso Museum. When Picasso brought out the greatness in him, people around him were scared. He terrified the world around him. When you bring out the glory and glow within from you, you are going to invite shadows and darkness. We need to be prepared. Otherwise, we have to be one among the average people around us. If we want to bring out the masteries from us, we need to be ready to face the critics, and we need to be clear and ask those deep, profound internal questions. And when you have clarity, that breeds mastery. With clarity, you become more courageous. You become clear about other people's intention. You become very clear about your own possibility. Your self-belief levels will go up immensely, and you will start producing many new versions of you. If you have to bring out the genius in you, you have to bring out the many new yous in you. Let me repeat it for you. And it is so very essential that you start doing this process early on in your life to bringing out the you in you, which Toastmasters helps you to do. You know why you should start doing it early on in your life? As we get older, we start falling in love with the you in you. Self is love. Self-declarations love. Self-announcements love. Self-advertisements love. So many forms of self-adulation loves. But the problem, there is a problem with this love. You know what it is? Love is blind. The love is never going to distinguish whether you have the golden Buddha or you're covered with clay and mud. It's going to say, oh, the clay and mud is so wonderful. You look beautiful with the clay and mud. It is not going to reveal the real you in you. Don't be in love with the you in you. Be a great friend of you. You know a great friend? How do we define a great friend? Someone who speaks the truth. Wonderful, sir. Wonderful. Someone is going to tell us all the good and bad sides of us. It will be very difficult to listen to them, but they are all honest truth. They are going to say we are with clay and mud, but they will help you peel it off. The peeling off process will be painful, but ultimately you will start discovering the gold in you. So be a great friend of the you in you and start talking to you every day and take those honest feedbacks and work on them every day. My question to you, Toastmasters, are you talking to you every day? If not, and are you talking to you adequately every day, regularly every day, consistently every day? If not, start today. Every one of us here is a product of primal genius. We can bring out the genius if we make that as a habit protocol, everyday protocol. The next one, we talked about self-belief. I want to very quickly leave a next. I would want to call it as a protocol or a practice. Again, from Robin Sharma's school. We talked about self-belief, high levels of self-belief, which means high levels of personal confidence. How do we develop high levels of personal confidence and go into the process of genial discovery from within or bringing out the elite performance from within? There is a tool. By balancing your interior empires. It might sound big, but it's something very simple. Let me not scare you with the big, but he calls it as balancing the interior empires. Because if your personal confidence and self-belief levels have to be high, your internal faith has to be stronger than internal fears. Is there anyone here who doesn't suffer from self-doubts? I have cleverly coined this question. I'm not asking you the other way. I constantly suffer from self-doubt. Sometimes we don't believe enough in ourselves. Not in all situations. Sometimes, some demanding situations. Can I go up and say something on a subject, on an impromptu, like a table topic? Can I speak or should I not and avoid making a fool of myself in front of a new audience? That is an area where our internal fear is higher than internal faith. So how do we build a strong internal faith and make ourselves battle-proof to bring out the genius within? We've all heard about mindset, right? Mindset, positive attitude, excellence-oriented attitude, creative mindset, productive mindset. Yes, our mind is so powerful. As human beings, the most powerful part of what we have is the mind. It's going to give us the strategies, the approaches, the analysis, the domain dominance that we want to develop. There may be a lot of Steve Jobs sitting here. There may be Jeff Bezos sitting here. There may be Shakespeare sitting here. There may be Virat Kohli sitting here. Or Roger Federer sitting here. But how do we develop the mindset of those genius people? Work on it every day. Have few hours of time to be dedicated and spent. I'm not going to talk about it because that's a workshop, but the point is, mindset is just the psychology. Okay? It is only 25%. How are you going to produce the very best of the creativity and the genius that you can bring on into this world and keep up the glow that you can produce if your heart is going to be in pain? If you have been hurt with something in the past, you need to make peace with the past. When you are in pain, you cannot deliver your best. You cannot deliver the best output of your mind. Do you agree? So, heart mindset is 25%. The government or the establishment at that point of time wanted to kill him off. They wanted to torture and get him killed before he could come out. For 8 years of the 27 years, he was working in a limestone quarry and crushing stones, doing nothing and throwing back. They just wanted to physically torture him. And they also asked him to dig a grave. Do you know that Nelson Mandela was regularly digging grave? Not just that. He was asked by those prison guards to get into that grave, lie down in the grave, and then, pardon me for saying this, they would stand around the grave and urinate on him. They would urinate on Nelson Mandela. They put him to shame, torture, in all forms. Whatever harm they could cause him, they caused. Okay, and then, but he had such a high resolve. He came out. He was so consistent. He was constantly inspired. He inspired himself inside the prison. And when he came out after 27 years, he invited the lawyer who fought for his death penalty and one of those prison guards who did those nasty things for a dinner when he was sworn in as the president of South Africa. And all his team members asked him, Madiba, that's how he was called, Madiba, what is this? Why are you inviting these horrible people who did all those nasty things on you and for you? You know what he said? Gentlemen, I definitely what they did to me was all horrible. But if I still do not forgive them and keep thinking about all those negative things that they did to me, I would still be in prison. I want to liberate myself and think about my country and people and what I want to do. That is heart set. Okay? Heart set is so very vital. If you want to bring out the genius in you, you should not be offended by anything around you. You should keep producing. The next one, health set. Health set, we all know about it, very obvious. But how do we maintain a prime level of health set? I'm talking about the sweat lodgers, the morning walks, or the evening walks, exercises, good diet habits, good lifestyle, good sleeping habits, okay, right supplements, right vitamins. Because the core belief of legendary is longevity. Let me repeat it for you. The core belief of legendary is longevity. What's the point of bringing out the genius in you if you're not going to live long? All the great men and women had a great lifestyle and their health set. They kept it at top because as a genius performer, you will be expected to be always on a peak performance levels. So you have to keep your health set at an optimum level, health set. The final, most important part of the interior, we have talked about mindset, heart set, health set, soul set, 4 interior empires, which is Robin Sharma's model of personal mastery. I'm just quickly trying to share here, is soul set. The soul set is one of the most vital virtue in discovering the genius and discovering the very best of you. It is the differentiator between normality and geniality. What is soul set? Soul set is about developing the ability to shut down the voice of your ego, the constant chattering of your ego, the noises of your ego. If you are able to shut out the constant chattering and the noises of your ego, you will get into airtight bubbles of focus and get into a deep interior excavation process to bring out all the geniality that you can bring out to this world. You will start manufacturing the creative drive that you have within. What is ego? Ego is nothing but, according to the definitions of these legends, ego is the scared version of yourself. Don't listen to your ego. Okay? It is only going to make us listen to other things. We need to shut off that. And every day, we need to spend few hours in isolation to develop a strong soul set, which all great men and women did. Mahatma Gandhi did it. All the people did it. Our every day is a miniature model of our life. We are not going to live in this world very long, however long we may live. But every day, make every day a very productive, creative, wonderful, amazing, genius day to produce and contribute something to this world. It may be small. Make your everyday matter. Okay? And if you are interested, go into start Googling the state of flow. Some of you are taking notes. Okay? Google the state of flow. Okay? Chicago University has published a scientific paper on soul set and being into a state of flow. It talks about the ability to shut off the frontal portion of your brain called prefrontal cortex. It's a little technical. Get into a state of high focus. It's called transient hypofrontality. I don't want to scare you with those words. But what happens is you are able to focus and concentrate on everything at a very slow speed. The world will be moving at a fast speed. All these genius players, if you see Roger Federer playing tennis, he's better than everybody else because he has more time to place those shots. Some of the singers, Celine Dion, in nuances is wonderful because she has more time because they are all in a state of flow. We have to develop ourselves to get into that state of flow if we have to bring out the genius. It is possible. We have to practice every day. Balancing the 4 interior empires. Try and develop a bulletproof mindset, a battle-proof heart set, and a clinically strong health set, and a genial soul set to bring out the personal mastery in you. All of us can do it. We all look at great genius performers, genial players. We say that they are all born geniuses. We cannot achieve what they achieved. None of these genius players were born or blessed to be genius. What they all did is they identified the single biggest talent or the few talents that they had and exploited by working on them every day by spending extra time on that. And there is a geniality within every one of us. We all can bring out. Package your heart set, health set, and mindset and move on. Finally, can you look at this man in this picture? Do you recognize? I don't know how many of you can see this. Mr. Mahatma Gandhi, the great Mahatma Gandhi. Okay? Yesterday evening, he's getting out into the reception in London. Getting embraced into the ocean of people who are waiting to meet him at London. It's a very quick one. I'm going to complete it now. Yesterday evening, I received a mail which Robin Sharma sends to all his mentees across the world. It's a big program going on. And with this picture, he's in New Delhi. Wrong time to be there. Okay, and with a note in that email. Every time I look at this picture of Mahatma Gandhi, getting submerged into the ocean of people, it moves me. It raises my perception and awakens my belief about what possibly a human can achieve and touch in this world. When he is violently against all, a lot of violent odds were against him. That's what he meant. He did everything that he did. He inspired so many people in spite of he being tortured like Nelson Mandela. And when he was tortured, he had his resolve. And when he was praised, when he shot into fame, he stayed humble. That is, again, an important quality for us to bring out the geniality within us. All genius players had the characteristic to stay inspired and go inspiring. We need to stay inspired round the clock, except the time we sleep, and go inspiring. All the genius players did it, and we need to do that if we have to bring out the genius from within. Because we have the power to create. The very purpose of all the wisdom, all the knowledge, all the experience, all the energy, and all the wealth that we carry within us is to go out into this beautiful world called a beautiful jungle where there are so many varieties of human species. And we need to go out, and once you develop the genial powers, you need to go out into the world. It may be a little world. Go and connect to as many people as possible. And identify the goodness in them, identify the niceties in them, identify the beauties in people, rather than trying to filter for the flaws in people. We see many people doing that. You don't need your wisdom, you don't need your experience, you don't need your geniality to do that. We are born to create not just babies and children. We are born to create better life in almost all the lives that surround us. Remember those things: self-belief, balancing the interior empires, the power to inspire and create. Be a big source of inspiration for the people that surround you. Be a craft person. Be the granularity of everything that you should make it look so great that inspires people. Be a Steve Jobs of your domain. Okay? It's been an absolute honor, pleasure, and a happy experience this evening talking to each and every one of you. Thank you so much for your patience. God bless you. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for your attention. Thanks for your attention. Thank you so much. Thank you. Very valuable. Attention was very valuable. Before I leave, can I take 2 questions if you have any questions? Otherwise, if you don't have, I don't know, but if you have questions, I know we are running out of time. I can take 2 questions. Yes, sir. Yep. Wonderful question. My answer to that is yes. My answer to that is yes. Start creating or discovering the genius within you, bringing out the genius. My answer to the question is, if I am going to deliver, I have to have hope. Hope is the ability to hear the music of the future. If I am talking to so many people, I am hoping that at least 5 or 10 among them would be inspired to carry on. I was inspired by Robin Sharma and so many others. And that 5 and 10, you multiply that, probably hundreds. Multiply it hundreds, probably 100,000s. Multiply that, millions, can go to billions. Probably, yes, if we have the right people and the right attitude and the right platforms like this to motivate that. I think it is possible. Every one of us is a product of primal genius. We can do it. Any more? Yeah, we can do that. We can talk. You can, I don't know, my email is not here. We can be in touch. We can create a Robin Sharma group if you want. Because I meet him once in a year, personally. We have 3 days meeting with him. But I am in touch with him almost few days every week. There are sessions going on. It is so addictive. A good addictive mastery sessions are there. And it's always, the best way to learn is by sharing. Learning improves with sharing. We can all form a small mastermind group of Robin Sharma and start discussing this. I will share with you my contacts. I have to respect the time of the conference. That's very important. Discipline. Robin Sharma teaches respect time. Thank you very much, Conference Chair.